Hey guys, it's been a while since we did a Class of Courage video. So this is episode number 2, and it's going to be a special edition to talk to you guys about what we do to keep our mental health and self-care in check during the pandemic while everything is shut down. So babe, you're back, we're back. We are back. What do we do? So we're big on routine.
Yeah.
We're definitely big on routine.
And keeping a routine too, trying to make sure it's not broken up.
Yeah. So thankfully we are able to still keep going to the gym because I own a gym. So we're able to be the only ones in there. So luckily we're able to keep that in, and we try to go outdoors.
Yeah.
And go for walks when we can.
We just started having fires in the backyard.
Yeah, that's been nice.
And
Talking.
Definitely talking.
Definitely
talking is one of the biggest things that keeps us together, especially now.
Yeah, because if we don't talk, we get closed off. And I mean, like anybody, if you don't talk about what you're feeling, you get stuck in your head and you just get so focused on everything you're thinking about that you forget to feel and you stop feeling. You just shut down. And that's what happens to us.
Yeah.
Like everyone.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. And that's what we're trying to do, is to show you guys that it's normal if you don't prioritize these things to take care of yourself, that you will shut down. You will start to feel shitty.
And it's definitely really easy for you to be self-efficient on your own, but when you're in a relationship with somebody, having to coexist, especially if you're living with that person, when things get hard, you usually self-isolate internally, which makes you closed off with your partner, which causes for error with any situation. We've been through it all.
Yeah.
Still go through it all.
Yeah. I
have moments where I close off very quickly. My mind races constantly, and if I don't stay open with Steph, I rebound into my old habits, and I start to go back to thinking negatively, not only about myself, but about things that are going on around me, and especially with the pandemic happening again and the close down. I'm a very personable person, so getting out, I mean, even if it's just going to the convenience store to buy a bottle of water or Gatorade or an energy drink, it's like that social interaction. It just does something for me to be able to see other people smile and react in a positive way. It's like now everything's shut down. I can't see anybody. I can't go talk to anybody. I can't see my family. So it's a hard time.
It's really hard. Yeah. And it's hard for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we definitely need to prioritize whatever it takes to keep ourselves okay. And like, I know for me, like, my self-care is key. And he can tell if I slack off on my self-care, like, because I start to shut off myself, and I'm less open with him. I'm less emotional. I'm more just blocked. And when we're blocked, we can't really have that emotional connection with a loved one because we're just too in our heads.
Yeah.
We're struggling.
Yeah.
And that's no good.
It's no good, no.
No.
And it could be just something small. It always starts with something small. If we don't talk to each other about something that's bothering us, and it could be as easy as just misunderstanding something that we've said to each other, because one of us might be already secluded into our own bad habits, and that can portray something that's negative, which then the other person responds badly to it as well. So, like, at the end of the day, if you guys don't respond with each other in a positive, loving, compassionate way, it's hard to, it's hard to be loving and compassionate to that person. I know I get closed off very, very hard, and I don't even know it sometimes. And she'll say to me, like, "Are you sure you're okay? Is there something going on?" It's like, "No, like, I'm okay." But then I turn my head and I'm off into la la land, like my mind's wandering, and what happens if this happens, what happens if this happens, what happens if this happens, and then the next thing you know it's just like I'm closed off into this underworld of darkness that just portrays to her, that portrays to other people around me, and when it's just me and her, it's very difficult for both of us to see each other or one another in a bad situation. It just hurts the heart. It's a different type of hurt, I guess,
Yeah, it feels like you're shut out.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm shut off, he feels like he's just shut out. And if he's shut off, I feel like I'm shut out. So then it hurts the other person.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so key to stay open. And like a lot of relationships, if they're not open with each other, they end up taking out what they're feeling on their partner or on their kids or on their parents, or taking it out on someone. Because when you're thinking all this stuff and you're not open, you're more reactive, you're more irritable, you're more pissed off. Like,
yeah,
it's not a good place to be.
Yeah. And like coming from an addictive background, it's very easy to fall back into addictive habits, especially in a time like this.
Yeah,
like I
me
know
too.
for myself now, I've been clean of drugs and alcohol for about 1.5 years now. Quit smoking, it was a year the second week in January. So these are the times when I know for myself, even being away from it for so long, it's like I had these urges sometimes. It's just like, why not just have one night to let loose and let everything go? But then I know what happens the day after, and the days after, and the days after, and the days after, and then it's easier to go back and do, okay, well, it's been a week, I'll have another drink, or, it's been 2 months, I'll go out with the guys again, and then the next thing you know, I'm right back to where I was before. And it's extremely hard to keep my mindset to where I am. And if I close down, the first things I look for are those bad habits that I had before I went away to rehab to get myself better. And it's extremely scary, and it's emotional.
Yeah.
And it's hard because then those addictive traits that come out in me not only in wanting that addictive habit again, but it was that release of all the pain and agony that addictive habit gave me. So I start to draw towards that, because it's like, okay, well, like my life is good with her and everything's good at home, but like there's just something else there that I need to get rid of, and I don't know how to get rid of that. But when I close off, it's that closing off that's what I'm trying to get rid of. It's trying to be closed off. Is what that part of me is trying to say, okay, well, like have a drink, maybe go back and do some bad things, go out in the town, like, go out to your friend's house, like it's okay to go out and have fun here and there, doing this, doing that, but like really realistically, like my happiness is when we're happy. And the minute I close myself off is the minute that I start to tend to bad habits to get the close off and it's freed.
Yeah.
But then I know that I can free myself a lot easier sitting on the couch with you, being loving and compassionate, than what it would be going out with the guys, having a night on the town, or having a night out at one of their houses or the garages, or those old weird ways that I was.
It's like we're each other's drug now.
100%, yeah.
But like you can have that in yourself too, because like while we still rely on each other, we still need that individual relationship with ourselves. Because if we disconnect from ourselves, we can't be connected with each other.
No.
So like I need to take care of myself. I need to make sure that I'm dealing with whatever I deal with. If I have a bad thought and I attach myself to that thought, it might be a worry about us that's just stupid and doesn't mean anything. If I don't talk about it, it'll build and it'll build and it'll turn into something else, and I'll be reactive and I'll be worried and I'll anticipate. And that's no good for my mental health, and that's no good for our connection.
No.
And then myself too, I go back to my old thinking patterns and thinking habits of relying on binge eating. So like with him, where he thinks of the drugs and alcohol that he used to rely on, I think about the binge eating that I used to rely on. Like I go to, well, cheesecake would just really numb me out right now. Like I would just totally numb out in McDonald's and Tim Hortons and all this stuff, but I know that would not be self-serving. It would be self-sabotaging, because I would have to deal with that. I'm stuffing my body with all this junk that's just making me feel shitty, and that would just keep me closed off even more. So that's no good for me or him.
No. And I even had to watch myself when you're in those areas of the danger zone, because it's like, I like my fix of McDonald's or Dairy Queen and pizza and wings and fries and poutines and Mary Browns, and so it's like when Steph starts to like those things, I had to be very cautious of myself too, and my self-awareness for her, because that could turn into a week's worth of eating bad food, and then I know where that puts her. So I gotta make sure that I'm looking out for her and watching her back when it comes to those things. Because I mean, I would love to go out Monday to Sunday and take away bad food. You know, I mean, for me, for me, I can say, okay, Jesus, I got a bit of weight on. Okay, like it's time for me to stop this stuff now. Like I feels like shit. Like, but for her, it's not. And you know, we had to be there for each other.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't even realize sometimes when I'm just saying, okay, screw it. Yeah, let's go here. Let's get donuts. Let's go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And then like a few days in, I'm like, oh shit, like I'm starting to have the same thoughts again. I'm starting to have the same like self-criticism.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think the same ways as I used to. So like I really need to be aware of when I'm starting to slip. And we both do. Like it's easy for anybody to slip, but like we know that it feels so much better to be open. And I really started realizing lately that at the end of the day, it comes down to thinking less and feeling more. Like when we're in our heads and we're thinking too much and we're just thinking, we're not present. We are totally not present. Like our body's there, but our minds are elsewhere. So when we close off, we're like, how can we be happy?
Yeah, it seems like there's no option for it.
Yeah, like we have to stay open. And that's what we really teach at Kaizen Theory is to open yourself up and heal. Like people come to me and they want to heal from binge eating and heal from disordered eating or whatever. And step number 1 is being open and honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And first people are like, why would I need to do that? I don't really see the correlation, but it has everything to do with wellness.
Yeah.
It is the key to wellness, to open yourself up and start to feel things. You can only heal when you can feel.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Like I know for me, like before I went away to rehab, it was the thought of rehab made me not want to go. The thought of it made me not want to go. Like, period. I would always ask for this, ways around it, but there really wasn't any way around it with my addiction. There wasn't. It was either die or go to rehab at the end of the day, because that's the path that I was on, and I knew it wasn't going to be much longer from where I stood before I went away. But I'd say probably like 4 months before I did go away is when I really started to feel what it would do for me and the people that I loved if I went away. Mm-hmm. So it came down to, I started to realize that the people I loved wanted me to get better. The people that cared about me didn't want to see me suffer anymore as much as what I thought that they didn't care. It was, they just didn't know what to do. So like that feeling that came over me when I could feel, I knew that I was going to have work, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just, go to rehab and come home and everybody's going to be like, yeah, you're better. Congratulations. Like, woohoo. No, that's not how it works. I knew that the path of earning trust back with not only my family, but with other people too. It's like, I had a very small group of people that I had to rely on, and that's how I got better. And I keep that small group of people very close to my heart every day, because I know that at the end of the day, if I don't feel what they can give to me and what they offer me, and I go out and seeking that redemption somewhere else, that redemption is false. I think that going out with my friends is a good idea. I think going to have a drink is a good idea, because it does give me a peace of mind, and it does make me release 100%. When I was out partying all the time, it made me feel like I was on cloud 9. But the days and the weeks after binging with drinking and drugs, it was terror. It was months of terror. It was times that I couldn't see my family because I was too sick to do anything. I would be sleeping 14, 16 hours a day, and now it's like these people that I keep close to me are the people that take me through the pain a lot easier, a lot safer, a lot more peacefully, in a loving and compassionate way, and that's what fills me up now.
Yeah, and it's really trusting.
It is, yeah. Thinking about things, it can make the difficult decisions harder to do. Like, and it's a lot more clearer when you feel it. Your body can tell you so much more than what you really think it can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I'm all about. Is like your body tells you.
Yeah, 100%.
People just ignore it.
Yeah, and they just think bad patterns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's easy to go back to bad patterns and just relying on stuff. But it comes down to like, if you aren't willing to deal with your hurt and deal with stuff that's bothering you, and you just want to reach for something to numb it, it's only going to make your life harder. Like, you think it's okay, this is the easy option right now, but that easy option, choosing that every single time, only makes your life harder. You're not building emotional connection with people. You're not building trust with people.
No.
You're not building anything. You're
No.
just sweeping stuff under the rug and making your emotional baggage that much heavier each and every time that you got to carry around every single day and try to ignore it and just reach for something to numb. Like, that's not healthy.
No, not at all.
But it's super normal here. Like,
I'd rather feel free than numb myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
When I numb myself, I know the problems are only a step away or a thought away, but when I free myself of them, they're gone.
And we were talking about today how, like, country music really helps us feel.
Yeah.
Really helps us feel.
Yeah.
But when I was shut off before I met Shane, I was emotionally shut off, and country music would make me feel uncomfortable. It would make me feel so uncomfortable.
Because it made you feel.
Because it made me feel. And I had a client who, she saw my our Class of Courage episode 1, and she realized how emotionally shut off I was. And she brought me flowers to say thank you for my coaching. And I didn't know what to do. I was so awkward. I was like, thank you. Like, didn't know what to do because I couldn't feel anything. I was so shut off, and I didn't even understand when people would ask me, like, what's wrong? I'd be like, nothing. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't understand shame. I didn't understand guilt. I didn't understand these things because I just shut them off completely.
Yeah.
But
never dealt with it.
When you get in touch with your feelings and you get in touch with how to take care of yourself and how to deal with things and have that trust with someone, like, if you're in a space where you really don't have anybody that you can trust to go to, that can be scary, right? But, like, having that person that you build that emotional connection with, build that emotional trust with, that really helps. But we need to build that within ourselves first. That's really where it starts. Because you had to build yours first by yourself.
100%.
And as much as you tried to help me, I still needed to do it myself.
Yeah. I always thought being compassionate and loving was an unmanly skill, I guess you could say. You know, I just, like, whenever I would feel things, I'd be like, I'm not supposed to feel this. Like, I'm a man. I'm supposed to have integrity of how strong I am and how I show people that these things don't bother me. But at the end of the day, that is so false. Like, the emotional and loving connection that I have with Steph is like no other. I can't even explain. I don't even have the words to explain to you what it is because I've just never experienced it before. And it's because I let her in and I show her that I can be compassionate for things that you know that really matter and I can be there in ways that I could never be there for anybody else before, or even my family, my friends. It's just I never had the compassion, the capacity for compassion. It was just like like, you know, pick yourself up. I mean, there's times where I'd look to you and said, you know, stand up and pick yourself up, like, be strong. But then I realized after, it's like, fuck, like,
it's not helpful.
It's not helpful. In the moment, it might be helpful, but in long term, it's not. In long term, that's only gonna make her bury things. And, you know, I have to apologize to her for those things because that's my old habits and my old ways too. Like, when I see her hurt, it's like, I get driven back into this, okay, focus, be strong, but then that being focused and being strong can, you know, it can be twisted into really hard. Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't do you any good. It's like any painful situation, if you look at it in a compassionate way, no matter which way it is, no matter how much it hurts, is in the end of the day, it's going to benefit you more than what, you know, it's going to benefit the whatever has made you focus on that. You know, if you're more focused on whatever made you harden than being compassionate and open, it's not going to be there for you. You need to make sure you just let things go. Your body will tell you. I feel like I'm crunched right here, and it's like sometimes I sit down and I squeeze my body as hard as I can to try to just release some of it because I know that it's there, and sometimes it don't work. I'm very shut off. I'm a very emotional person, and the last probably month I've been very, very shut off of being emotional. And like this morning I got up and I was downstairs crying, like viciously crying. I had no idea why. I didn't understand what was going on with me, but all I knew is that my body was telling me that it needed to get this shit out of me.
Yeah.
And as soon as it happened, I came upstairs to her. She was still in bed, opened the door, and I started crying in her arms and told her I had no idea what was happening. I don't know why. I had no thoughts. I was just downstairs, used a half box of tissues.
But it feels good.
But it feels good, and here I am today making a video with her that I've had a hard time being able to open up and do again.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that I was able to sit here and do this today with her was because I did let that emotion out, and I was compassionate with myself and with her, and I just realized how much we had and how much we had to give and how much love we have for each other and everybody else in the world and our families. So
yeah, we got a lot to give, and like when we feel like we impact one person, like, oh,
yeah,
it just we cry like, and when if my clients say, Steph, this happened to me today, and it's a little goal, but I mean to them it's huge, and
yeah.
I cry to him, and I feel what they feel.
Yeah.
Like, we're not in it for the money. Like, yes, we have to make a living, but like our main priority is helping people.
Yeah.
100%. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Because like we've helped ourselves, we've helped each other.
Yeah.
And we've helped people, and just the feeling it gives us to contribute.
Yeah.
Is like no other. It is like no other.
Yeah. And if you could just take a moment to be with somebody that you love and just try being compassionate for something that you normally wouldn't be compassionate about, and see what kind of reaction you get. And I strongly believe you'll be surprised at what the outcome will be. I really do, because it's a feeling like no other. If you have hardship within a relationship or a family member or a friend, something that has happened that has driven you apart, or that you don't see eye to eye as much as what you used to, that a good friendship or a good relationship has just gone to pieces because it may be something very small and stupid, petty, let it go. Reach out, tell that person or whoever it is, maybe it's yourself, that it's okay. You're gonna get through it. You love them, you love yourself, you want to feel their presence, their love, their friendship again. And it's wild what it can bring.
So good. Because I mean, it's easy, and I mean, don't let this fool you. Like, we've been through shit.
Yeah.
We've been through shit.
Yeah.
Like, when we first met, I was completely broken. I was completely shut off. I was not healed from my eating disorder. I was not okay.
No.
And you were just out of rehab.
Yeah.
So you were just opening up.
But if I never met you when I did, I would have started to close off at some point. And you opened me up to a new level with you not being used to having somebody share feelings the way that I did and be so intrigued by it. That made me feel so good, because it was like, oh my God, this person wants to hear my story. This person wants to love me. This person wants to be there for me. Like, I've never had this before. Never felt this before. I've never been able to be free and open and just completely consoling in one person. So it was like, we would sit down on the couch and I would just talk for hours. And
I would be so intrigued. And it made him feel good, because I was just like, he's so open and he's so emotionally in tune with himself, and like that was super attractive to me. Like, that really drew me into you.
Yeah. I was very negative beforehand. Like, I looked at myself very horribly, and if anybody complimented me, I would just tell them that they were wrong, that I was a piece of shit, that I didn't deserve to live, that I wanted to die. I hated fucking being on this earth. Every day I opened my eyes, it was another breath that I hated that I had to take. Like, I did not want to live. And like, it just came down to the point where it was just like, I stopped. I hated the fact that I was trying to kill myself. And I wanted to be rid of that. It just wasn't working. Like, there was nothing that I could do to get rid of myself. And I tried many times with the booze and the drugs, and it just, it just seemed like it just wasn't working. It felt like I was going to live a life of agony, and I wanted to change. I didn't want to live in it anymore. I hated waking up every fucking day and thinking to myself, like, why? Why did I have to wake up today? Like, what I put my body through over the last 5 or 6 days, like, how am I still alive? Why am I still alive? Is there a purpose to why I'm living? Like, do I deserve to live this life? Am I on this earth just to fucking live in agony? Like, why? And I know why now.
We got a bigger purpose.
Yeah, 100%. And through all the shitty things that I've done and said, and and the harm that I've ever caused anybody in my life, like, I mean, there's not a list long enough that I could write or amount of time in this world that I could apologize to all those people. But the way I want to apologize to everybody and show everybody that things can be different is by helping other people. And it's, it don't matter what happens to me or what people think of me anymore. It's what I can do for the next person that's in or was in my shoes, that was there, that I could help get out of the situations that they were in and create a better life for them, because it's not as bad as what it seems, and it doesn't have to be.
No, and I get that completely, because like with my bulimia, every time I would throw up, I would wish this was the time that my heart would just stop. And I would wake up and I just couldn't wait to go to bed. I was living every day just to go to sleep. And that's no good. And what I want to do now that I got myself in an open state, I want to give that to people. I want to help people that are where I was. But it took my mom getting sick with cancer and passing away for me to realize, Jesus, life is so short.
Yeah.
You never know when your time is up. You don't. And there's people dying super young, and like you really don't know. So I mean, I really took it into my own hands to open myself up and heal. And I met him at the perfect time. Like my mom was sick, and he got to be a pallbearer?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
To take my mother to her final resting place. Like we met at exactly the right time for both of us, and we helped to open each other up to a new level. And I mean, I wasn't open up at all when you met me, but you helped to open me up, and we helped to guide each other, and just with love, like the power of love when it's with someone else or with yourself is just incredible. It allows you to overcome so many hard times. Yeah. We've been through hard times. Yeah. A lot of hard times. Yeah. And when we're shut off, like if I'm shut off and he's shut off, we can butt heads really bad.
You get bad.
And it can feel like give up.
Yeah.
Just give up.
That's the easy route.
That's the easy route, is to just give up. But to open yourself up and to let that person in and to let out what you need to let out and not to have repercussions for it is incredible.
Yeah.
There's so much, I don't even know the word for it. There's so much beauty in being open and honest and letting yourself into yourself and letting someone else into your heart.
Yeah, I agree.
But we want to do big things. We want to impact people.
Yeah, that's the main goal. Changing people's lives. Getting people back on track. Whatever track that may be for them. Putting them in the right direction. Yeah. And we're getting even more certifications. Like we're looking into relationship certification this year and trauma-informed coaching. So we want to really increase our knowledge so we can help people as much as we can. Yeah. In as many different areas as we can. Yeah. And if we can't, then we'll say, I'm sorry, we can't. Yeah. But however we can, we will. Yeah. And it goes without saying that having life experience with these things, it definitely makes it easier to coach people through it. I know for me, like when I would go to try to get help, if it was at an addiction specialist or it was at a psychiatrist or psychologist or whoever kind of doctor it would be, you know, I would have this person sit down and tell me, no, it's not this way. No, it's not that way. Here, read this book. Here, read that book. And I'd go home and I'd fire the books in the fucking garbage. And I'd be like, who the fuck are they to tell me what my addiction's about? Like, you're not out there fucking sniffing coke for 4 or 5 days and drinking for fucking 4 or 5 days. Like, you have no idea what I'm mentally actually going through, but yet you're going to sit there and tell me how it is. Yeah. There was only up until I found the psychologist that we use now that he just sat back and listened to me and was like, okay, like, how does this fit? How does this feel? Like, am I in the right areas? You know, because he's never been through it. And you know, it's one of those things. It's really hard to sit down. And I know this from my experience. It was extremely hard for me to sit down and listen to somebody tell me had to change something that they never really understood. You know, it's easy to read a book and understand something. It's easy to get a qualification and promote that qualification or be a specialist in an area. It's another thing to have the life experience to go through it. And I'm not saying that as in, you know, yeah, you need to go out and be a drug addict, be an addiction counselor. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. It's just for the people that were like myself, that were in the same situation, that have a hard time comprehending or getting a straight answer from somebody that they can trust with that answer when it comes to having to dealing with situations like this.
You get it.
I get it, and I can feel the compassion, and I can feel the hurt, and I can feel the tragedy that they go through mentally, physically, in relationships with family. Like I've been there, I've been through it. I know what it's like to be there, so I understand you. I feel where you actually come from. I just don't want to sit down and give you words. I want you to understand that, like, I feel from the heart. I feel how hard it is.
Yeah, and me too. Like, I feel moments that my clients are feeling because I've been through it. So I cry with them.
Yeah.
I smile with them. I celebrate with them, virtually, of course. But like, for a woman to be struggling with body image and eating disorders and just hating herself so much and never feeling beautiful, never feeling good enough, never feeling sexy, never feeling feminine, like, I know what that's like to the core. So when I start to see clients like get their period back, like, how incredible that feels. A lot of people wouldn't understand that, but I get it. Like, I get it. It was like Christmas Day when I got mine back after not having them for 8 years. And just being able to look in the mirror and actually start to like what you see. When my clients tell me this, like, I feel it. I feel that to the core. So like, I'm there with them, and we can really connect with people because we've been through these things. So we do have a lot to offer because we got through things and we still continue to work through things, because we're never going to say we're healed.
No.
We're always healing.
I will always consider myself as an addict, and always a recovering addict, never a recovered one, because the minute that I think that I'm recovered is the minute that I'm going to slip. And I know that because I've had times through my recovery where I let my recovery stage slip into thinking I was recovered, and she knows herself that I would sit there and be like, holy fuck, like, I got a really bad urge to want to do drugs again, to drink again, like, you know. It's not easy. It won't be easy. It'll never be easy. I will continue to battle this until the day that I die. Am I going to say that I'll never relapse? Fuck no, because I don't know. The time might come. It might not come. I have no idea what it's going to bring. I have no idea when or if it'll ever happen. It's just one of those things that I need to make sure that I stay true to myself, and stay open, stay compassionate, stay loving, be honest, and stay true. And I know that I can keep my sobriety through that, and I know that I can keep helping people through that, because right now my sobriety is one of those things that I want it for myself, but it's the people that I want to help in the future and get through that I want to show them that you can deal with things bad and good and still keep it. It doesn't have to always mean you have to relapse in order to, you know, to fix things, I guess you could say, because fixing things aren't all about running to your bad habits.
No, exactly. And keeping that openness, like, he don't just say, and I don't just say, okay, I'm healed, close it off. Because if you're closing something off, like, you're not open with it.
No.
And then you're going to be caught off guard. If your feelings start to come back, your thoughts start to come back, you're going to be caught off guard. So it can take you, it can consume you again.
Yeah.
And then you're gone right back. So keeping that openness and that acknowledgement that that's still there, those thoughts are still there, those feelings are still going to be there, allows you to have that recognition to be able to realize, okay, I'm starting to feel this again. Okay, I know what to do. Whereas if you think it's done, it's over with, it can get you like that.
Yeah.
That's no good.
No.
So we want to keep people open and honest and keep that heart open. Think less, feel more.
Yes.
That's really, that's dear to my heart.
Yep.
Thinking that. But we have big things.
Yeah.
We have big things to help people with. And I want to promote Mandy.
Yep.
Mandy Froud has been taken over the boot camps for Kaizen Theory, and they have been epic. Super good.
Yeah.
Super good.
And Mandy's from Newfoundland. She's in Ontario.
Yeah, she's in Ontario. They've been locked down longer than us.
Yeah, so she understands probably more than what we do what it's like to feel like there is no more space to be in and that you are restricted to a very small space for long periods of time.
Yeah.
So she's very personable. She's excited. So
yeah, she's doing awesome. And I'm still doing the mindset coaching, and we're still doing our class of courage every now and then too. And I'm going to be doing classes with guests. So I'm going to have a social worker on with me. I'm going to have a nurse on with me. And I'm going to reach out to a doctor that I think would be a really great addition to the Kaizen Theory theme. But I really want to get more people in to have their input. Different input would be awesome. Yeah. But lots of things in the future to come. But if you're interested in joining the Kaizen Theory community, check out the website, www.kaizentheory.org, and you can sign up as a member under Kaizen Theory. So you get full access to the boot camps, full access to the mindset coaching, and full access to the class of courage. So that is it for us.
Yep.
If you have any questions, please let me know and we will get back to you. But have a great day, guys. Bye.